burst into profanity. Forget your evil smell and vanity. Spotted hyena, bloodstains, castlots, dead or alive, it's not horror movie plots. Laughing hyena, he bursts into laughter, you burst into profanity, forget your evil smell and vanity.
you'll find an old caretaker there. When you step inside, he tells a tale of those that whine and wail. Around and round about the place at night, and this is how he tells his tale. Or hear that bogey wail, up and down the scale, creeping in and out of every room. Bogey wail, what an awful wail, guaranteed to fill your soul with gloom. Kind of freezes you, then it kind of teases you, that mysterious road. Makes you panicky when you hear that minor moan. Bogey fears make you strain your ears when you're on your own alone at night. Here it comes, near yet it comes, filling every marrow with fright. A sort of sneaking round, a freaking round, you long to see the moonlight pale. Every night, when you dim the light, you can hear the bogey wail.
Gaily dancing, skip and hop, oh, never stop, oh, from the place where they are hiding, slipping, gliding, they come gliding, short and tall, see them all, shake like skeleton at that skeleton rag, oh, that skeleton rag, that goblin rag is down so weepy, creepy, solemn, serious, see them wiggle and wag, singing, with that one comes the light, hooray, 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 oh, that skeleton rag, they pull it and brag about their epitaph with laugh delirious, some ghostly gag, in that moany, groany, phony skeleton rag. Look around, oh, hear that sound, oh, don't it make you shake and shiver, don't it make you blink and quiver? Can't you hear music queer, see that melancholy fellow playing on his ghostly cello as he croons, oh, ragtime blues, oh, from his long and bony fingers comes a melody that lingers on the air, so beware, you'll be dying to start in find that rag, oh, that skeleton rag, that goblin rag is down so weepy, creepy, solemn, serious, see them wiggle and wag, singing, with that one comes the light, hooray, 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 oh, that skeleton rag, they pull it and brag about their epitaph with laugh delirious, some ghostly gag, in that moany, groany, phony skeleton rag.
I don't think it's a computer. Yeah, it's good shape, too. It's 5, 6 feet high, I'm guessing 9 feet long. Look at the extraordinary... What'd you do?
He touched it. Dr. Grant's not mission compatible.
They got it in for me. And look at the half-moon-shaped bones on the wrist. It's no wonder these guys learn how to fly. No, seriously. All right. Well, maybe dinosaurs have more in common with present-day birds than they do with reptiles.
That doesn't look very scary. More like a 6-foot turkey.
Turkey,
Turkey.
6-foot turkey. Turkey, 6-foot turkey. Okay. Try to imagine yourself in the Cretaceous period. Try to imagine yourself in the Cretaceous period. Imagine yourself in the Cretaceous period. You get your first look at this 6-foot turkey as you enter a clearing.
Well, hello, everybody, and welcome back to Paleontologizing. I'm glad you're here, and happy Saturday to you. At least it's Saturday here, where I am in the San Francisco Bay Area, no matter what time or day it is where you are. Whether you're watching this live, hello chat, or whether you're watching later on in the VOD or on the YouTubes, welcome to Paleontologizing. I'm really glad you could be here today, and let me give an extra special welcome to anybody who might be new. And let me welcome you to the channel here.
Dinosaurs were the sort of creatures you might think of as inhabiting another planet. Or the kind
Or
you
our
dream
planet.
of in a bad nightmare.
Or a wonderful dream. Thank you very much. Chris Beaver, holy cow. Long time no see, Chris Beaver. 40 months of support. I really appreciate that, Chris Beaver. Holy moly, how are you doing? Welcome back. One of my earliest ardent supporters, Chris Beaver, thank you so much for being here.
It's Marvin,
And,
your cousin Marvin Berry.
well, if it isn't Claire Burr.
New sound you looking for? Well, listen to this.
Speaking of stalwart supporters, Claire Burr. How did your stream go, Claire? Hope it was really good.
Kleber has
Welcome.
a new sound for their 3 listeners.
I really appreciate you, Claire. How you doing? How did that stream go? Chris Beaver, I'm glad all is good. It's great to have you back. What was I saying? Yeah, if anybody's new, welcome to Paleontologizing. My name is Danny Anduza. I'm a dinosaur paleontologist. And I'm here streaming on a weekend, for once. Because I've been super busy lately. TwitchCon was this past weekend. So I just got back on Tuesday afternoon, missed some streams earlier this week, and then Thursday I missed that stream because I was getting my talk together for the Society of Vertebrate Paleontology virtual meeting. And then this morning, I had an appearance on Paleoportals with Dr. Brian Curtis, talking about paleontology. I just finished that up, so check it out on Paleoportals. I figured might as well do a stream after that. I'm already here, already got all the lighting set up and everything, so here we are. Welcome to a special Saturday Paleontologizing stream.
Aren't you the man who told me to live every week like it's Shark Week?
Golganek.
That nothing's impossible except for dinosaurs? Don't give up on life, sir. Wow.
Yeah, R.I.P.
I love that show. Thank you, Golganek, for the 27 months of support. And all the gift subs that you give out all the time, Golganek. I appreciate you more than you know. I know I say that a lot, but I'll say it again right now. I appreciate you more than you know, Golganek. Thank you for being such a wonderful supporter of this channel. For all that time, 27 months. That's a long time. It's almost a whole year.
Dinosaurs became extinct because they no longer knew how to love each other. Is that correct?
No, that's not correct. What?
Exactly. And I certainly wouldn't want our species to end the same way.
Uh-oh. Casually Average, 8 months of support. I really appreciate that. Thank you, Casually Average. And Chris Beaver, thank you for these 10 gift subs. Look how excited this Tinamu bird is here to announce the arrival of 10 gift subs. 10 people in chat won't have to watch any ads. Thanks to your generosity, Chris Beaver. So excited. A little too excited. Uh-oh. Oh, shoot.
CHRSBVR is overloading the system with 10 gift subs.
Thank you, Chris Beaver. I really appreciate that. Holy moly. Look, we are already more than a third of the way to our sub goal today. Holy cow, Chris Beaver. Thank you for that. I really appreciate it. Holy moly. And I've been largely neglectful of chat up until this point. Let me scroll up to the top. And we'll see who's here. Let's do some greetings at the beginning of today's stream before we get into viewer Q&A. All that good stuff. We're going to be talking about skeletons today, like we always do on Paleontologizing, but maybe with a little bit of a Halloween focus. Halloween's coming up on Tuesday. So yeah, before we do that, Kodali. Seems you were first today. Welcome, Kodali. It's good to see you here. And then Claire Burr, what's shaking with you, Claire? Aside from that flaily arms iOS emote. I love it. Claire, I hope you had a great stream. It's good to have you here. Arle, happy weekend to you, Arle. I hope your weekend's off to a good start. It's good to see you as always. Princess Bookworm has returned to us. How are you doing, Princess? Welcome. Dr. Irrefutable, hello to you. Layer T, welcome. Lara Gale, how are you doing? Lordy, I enjoyed your stream earlier. It's good to see you. We both are having early Saturday streams today. This is great. Creatrix Brit, what's shaking with you? It's good to have you here. I'm sorry, the what? Again? Could you repeat? I keep missing it. I'm sorry. I keep talking over it. What was it? The what? 13 months, Megatronus. Thank you. And what was it again? Tell me one more time. The what? I'm sorry. Come again? 13 months of support from Megatronus. Thank you, Megatronus. I appreciate you. 13 months. That's almost a whole year, too. Welcome. Danish Viking, what's shaking with you? It's good to have you here. Stream closed captioner is yelling at me, telling me that my closed captions aren't working. However, well, I suppose it's right. It's not working. Closed captions. Testing. There we go. Thank you. All right. Attack Rack, how are you doing? Welcome, Attack Rack. Good to have you here on Paleontologizing. I hope you're having a good day so far. Mayfield Pemberley, good to have you here too. Welcome. Roland Elliart, and I only watch quality content. It's every time you show up in my chat, it's a little compliment next to your name. So thank you. I only watch quality content. I'm honored that you're here. Espy, did I say hello to you yet? Welcome, welcome, Espy. The Dinosaur Dave just finished episode 1 of Netflix's Life on Our Planet. I've been seeing all kinds of scuttlebutt about that on Twitter. I haven't had a chance to watch it yet, but maybe tonight I'll have a chance. Yeah. Fire up my new Amazon Chromecast flame stick, whatever it's called. That thing. I got it on sale. Be watching it on there. SV Harkin, howdy, howdy, SV Harkin. Welcome, welcome. And scrolling, Matt M33, a tribute to you too, Matt M33. Good to have you here. Yeah, Riddler26, we're shaking with you. And Papa Meow Meow, how are you doing? Good to have you here. Cephalon Wolf, I'm glad you were enjoying the cold open video, cold open screen there. Lurch Nest says birds are dinosaurs. This is true, and we have the emotes to attest to it there. Sandwich Nom Nom, hello, hello. Little Pink Pony, how are you doing? Blues Traveler, welcome back, Blues Traveler. Good to see you. Then we got to that raid from Claire. I'm making my way down through chat. We're trying to get there. Scrolling, scrolling, scrolling. Real Sugar is back. How are you doing, Real Sugar? Welcome back to Paleontologizing. I'm glad you've returned. Welcome back to the community. He means well, says Lol. Do you mean well, or do I mean well, or someone else mean well? I hope we all mean well, and I think it's well and good that you're here. He means well. Welcome home. Otto the Potato, welcome back to you too. You just put the head of a Parasaurolophus on the body of an Apatosaurus. I guess that's what those emotes are for. Mr. Maxey says, I feel more appreciation for the world after I learned about prehistory. That is wonderful to hear. Holy cow. We live on an incredible planet, and we are so lucky to do so. And understanding the history of Earth and the history of life on Earth is, it's amazing that we can understand any of this stuff through the study of fossils. But it really does enhance our appreciation for it, doesn't it? I think so, at least. I'm glad you agree, Mr. Maxey. Freelancer 117, welcome back to you. You say good evening, but it is early afternoon where I'm from. There. Let's see what things look like outside right now. There we go. The view from the Lawrence Hall of Science up in the Berkeley Hills. Beautiful. A little hazy today. I actually went out and walked to the beach this morning. Kind of over there. And, yeah, it was a little hazy this morning. Getting chilly, too. Chillier than usual for this time of year. Yeah. It must be nice to start this way, says Freelancer. What do you mean? To start the stream this way? I hope so. I hope you're having a good time so far. Yeah.
No other creature in the world looks like a half-plucked turkey and walks like a pot-bellied bear.
But Elias does.
Careful. There's an Allosaurus about to eat your mic.
Is it? Let's give him a little taste. Nice. Welcome, Elias, and thank you for the 18 months of support. I appreciate that very much. Thank you, thank you. Yeah. Good stuff. And Freelancer just finished for the day. Well, I hope you can kick back and relax right now, Freelancer. You just finished work for the day, you mean? Nice. And Roland Elliott says it's getting down to the 30s up at night in Sonoma. It always gets colder up there in Sonoma County. Yeah. Kind of like it. The air smells different, even here in the Bay Area, you know. Up here. It gets below a certain temperature and, like, I don't know. It smells like winter. It smells like Christmas almost. And I'm here for it. I enjoy it. The temperature's supposed to go back up next week, but, yeah. Yeah, this is unseasonably chilly here this time of year. Forecast today sunny with a high near 68. Yeah. And Legend of Chrono, how are you doing? Welcome to Paleontologizing. How's your day going so far? And I hope you're ready to learn about dinosaurs in particular, since that's what I work on. But we're going to be talking all about natural history today, like we do on every Paleontologizing.
Let's protect our fossils, because if they're removed, America loses them forever.
And Portalgeist, thank you very much. Were you converting a gift sub into a recurring sub? Portalgeist. I appreciate that. It sounds like a really cool stream. I appreciate that, Legend of Chrono. Yeah, here on Paleontologizing, we talk about fossil science. As a dinosaur paleontologist, I study dinosaurs, I publish on dinosaurs, I dig up dinosaurs. This summer, we were live streaming that out in Wyoming and Utah. Excavating dinosaurs way out in the middle of nowhere. So it was really cool to be able to share that with the viewing audience, with this community. What it's like to actually do paleontology in the field. But when I'm not in the field, I'm here in my office and doing a lot of Q&A, covering new discoveries in fossil science, watching videos and stuff like that. And today we're going to be focusing especially on skeletons, because it's Halloween time coming up, and everybody's got skeletons on the brain. Not just literally, but you know. Yeah. How did this morning go? Really well, Golganek. Yeah. Here, let me talk about that for a second. I was lucky enough to be an interviewee on Paleoportals, Fossil Crates Live. Yeah, this was a ton of fun, actually, with Dr. Brian Curtis. So check that out. I'll give you a link to this right here. You can sign up for free for the first month anyway, and you can watch the recorded interview, although we had it live, did live Q&A and everything. It was a lot of fun. Apparently, we were going for like an hour. It did not feel like that. Felt like about 15 minutes. Went by really quickly, but it was a lot of fun. So check that out if you're interested. Yeah. And anyway, yeah. Thanks for asking about it, Golganek. That was really fun. There's some projects I'd love to be able to work on with Brian Curtis, who runs Fossil Crates and Paleoportals. So stay tuned for some of that. That's gonna be neat. And Savage Devil Icho says, hello, Danny in chat. It's me, Molten. I had a name change. Well, welcome back. Savage Devil. I know that's the new name now, but I want to call you Savaged. Is that okay? I like how that sounds. Would that be cool, Savaged? Let me know. Welcome back. And thanks for filling us in on your name change. Some big bones behind Danny, says Portalgeist. It is, isn't it? This is my life-size 3D printed Allosaurus skull. We printed this earlier this year over a matter of months and assembled it, and pretty cool, right? I'd pick it up and swing it around right now, but I've got lights in its mouth, and yeah. Burp. It's on a little wheelie cart here, and my Dimetrodon skull just fell off of it. I have so many 3D prints that I need to smooth and paint and everything, but I've just been so incredibly busy with other stuff lately. Haven't had an opportunity to do any of that. But maybe next week I'll have some time when I can actually start kind of finishing some of these things. Yeah. Lots of prep to be done. Exactly, Claire Bird. Just lots of backlog there. And it is Allosaurus fragilis, Mr. Maxey. Yes, yes. Not Allosaurus jamadsoni, not Allosaurus europaeus.
If you're feeling a bit cheated, try blaming the dinosaurs.
I often do.
Free money. And just to ask, what do you know about Kelenkin Guillermo?
Oh.
You should enjoy
Savage, that's a great question.
And you can't enjoy science alone. You have to share it.
I would agree with that, Fairy
Very glad
Faye.
I found this channel less than 3.
Thank you for the 2 months of support. I really appreciate that, Fiery Faye. Thank you very, very much. Yeah. And Savage, Kelenkin. So Kelenkin is a terror bird, if memory serves, from South America. It's one of the largest of the forest rakids, and I think one of the last of them too. And I think we're going to be talking all about it on Monday's stream. I'd like to do a special terror bird stream on Monday. My calendar's been all kinds of messed up lately because I've had too many things going on. But, yeah. We could talk about terror birds on Monday, I think. That should be fun. Yeah. I think we've got a whole video about Kelenkin. Yeah. Anywho. Speaking of videos, we're going to jump back into one in a little bit. And I've got... I don't know why, but my apartment is suddenly full of fruit flies. I get back from TwitchCon, fruit flies everywhere. And no, I did not bring them back with me from Vegas. If you see me swatting like this, there's fruit flies in my office. No, Megan wears no, thankfully, Savaged. No, although it'd be really cool to have, you know, giant dragonfly relatives flying around. Balent must have planted them on me. I don't know, Claire. Should ask him. Anyway, before we dive back into that video that we were watching yesterday, all about skeletons, do we have any questions from the chat? Any rabbit holes that we should scurry down before we get into our main topic for the day? Yeah. And, yeah, let me know if you got any questions, everybody. Want to know about the Great Dying? Oh, we talked all about the KPG extinction yesterday. We could talk a little bit about the Permo-Triassic extinction for sure. Yeah. Oh, and Just a Guy, thank you for your kind words. I appreciate you. It's good to have you here. Yeah. And, oh boy, yeah, there we go, Dinosaur Dave. Oh, Clint's Reptiles, he's usually pretty good. Oh boy. Yeah, looking at... I'm glad somebody is doing this, this kind of content here. Talking about really bad Halloween skeleton decorations. That's pretty horrendous. Actually, that one's not that bad. The frog is pretty decent. But it shouldn't have ribs, right? I don't think frogs have ribs. And these should be sacral vertebrae in here, I think is probably what he's saying. But anyway, there are all kinds of really bad, like, animal skeletons that get sold around Halloween. It's kind of why we're talking about skeletons today. Yeah. Dramingophyte, how are you doing? Welcome, welcome. You wanted a skeleton stream? Yeah, maybe we'll take a look at this later, Dinosaur Dave, but I feel like Clint here from Clint's Reptiles is kind of doing the same thing that I'm doing, and I don't want to piggyback on that too much, you know? So let's get back into where we were yesterday. There we go. I think we were about here, but it's 18 minutes in. Let's jump back to the beginning, shall we? love this little intro. How cool is that? Ah, you gotta love it.
Inside every one of us is a structure essential to life, yet when glimpsed, it can fill us with deep fear: the skeleton. As varied in shape and size as all the creatures across the face of the earth, fish, birds.
I love how this was clearly like they probably didn't have an original master copy of this. This is probably taken directly from a VHS and then uploaded to YouTube, and you can hear that kind of VHS, you know, audio quality kind of skipping there. Here.
Fish.
Oh, you gotta love it.
Birds, amphibians and reptiles, and mammals all have what we commonly think of as a skeleton, an internal frame of bones on which the soft body hangs, the endoskeleton. The skeleton
Very
supports
retro, right?
the body,
Good stuff.
anchors the muscles, and forms a hard shield for the vital organs. It permits movement, feeding, procreation.
Cephalon Wolf says, for beetles and other similar creatures, does exoskeleton literally translate to outside skeleton? Bingo. Yes. Yes, indeed.
Life itself.
Crocodile. How's the audio right now? Is it too loud? Too quiet? Let me know.
An elephant's thigh bone is 100 times bigger than a vole's, yet both, like mole and monkey, hedgehog and horse, share the same design of bones.
Yep. Design is a phrase that I don't really like in this context, because it's misleading. It implies some sort of, like, top-down, you know, like somebody designing it, and that's not actually how it is. If anybody were designing this, they would have been doing a really, really bad job of it. If you were to design all of these animals from the top down, you know, you wouldn't be starting with the same parts for every single one of them. So instead of design, you know, most of the time scientists will use terms like body plan or bow plan, I think might be the like kind of German phrase for that, but it's used more widely in the sciences by people of lots of different languages. Yeah, but this is the idea that we're getting at is homology. This idea that the same bones that make up the arm of a cat or a gorilla or a bat or a whale or a turtle or a frog or whatever animal that has bones like that, they're the same bones. This is the idea of homology. Yeah. Tracer sheet from that intro video and send it to you. Oh, Claire, you wouldn't have to do that. I think it might be in an old laptop computer, that file that I made. But, yeah. The bones that make up the forelimb are the same, whether they're in a human, a cheetah, a whale, or a bat in these examples. They're the same bones. Or a human, an opossum, a sauropod, oh, I love that, an echidna, or a dove. They're all the same bones. This is what we call homology. And it's because we all come from the same ancestor. From a lobe-finned fish. That's where these bones come from in the first place. There's a reason why they're the same bones. It's because
It's got nothing to do with oil. I'm a
paleontologist. Jurgern, thank you for the follow. Welcome to Paleontologizing. This is the reason why there's that same framework of bones. The reason why all these creatures have vertebrae. Why they've got the same pattern of bones in their limbs. Why they've all got ribs. It's, except for maybe the frog. Frogs don't. They've lost their ribs somewhere along the way. But these are basically evolutionary hand-me-downs from our fishy ancestors. It's where that comes from. Yeah. Or a kinkajou. There you go, Thalo. Yes. Kinkajou. What are they? I think they're related to basal primates, I think, aren't they? Where do these guys belong? But anyway, yeah, they've got that same skeletal framework that we do. Any animal with bones is gonna have the same arrangement of bones. They're all modifications of the same basal structure. They're variations on a theme. The more closely related two creatures are, two different species, the more similar their skeletons will be. And you can trace that all the way back to the ancestor of all vertebrate animals on land, which is a creature like Tiktaalik. Let's see if I can find you a clip. Here we go. This is a series which I think is truly extraordinary. When we're talking about forelimbs, arms, the reason why we all have the same kind of structure to our arms as land-living vertebrate creatures is because we inherited it from this kind of an ancestor. No, not a Honda 1000 generator.
Still a big mystery to solve. Because though they died
Oh.
out so long ago, their fossil bones remain, so we know just
Holy
what they
cow,
were.
rabid
We
weenus.
can even sculpt them into still, or rather extinct, life.
Thank you for the 19 months of support. 19! It's a long time. That's almost a whole year, rabid weenus. Thank you, thank you. I appreciate you. Here. Let's continue.
How did our fish ancestors make the transition onto land? And what did they look like? We were still looking for our elusive fossil, frozen forever on the brink of this great transition. Each summer, we returned to Jason's ancient riverbed to continue excavating. We needed to move lots of rock to expose the narrow seam containing the fossils. But then, we'd switch to brushes and dental picks to uncover the delicate fossilized bone.
Just this incredibly funny paradox. You know, we're in this huge landscape.
Yep.
We're always cramped together, you know. My head's next to Ted's feet. Marcus's head's next to my feet. It's this tiny little spot.
That's what it's like.
It
We,
was such a tiny
those kinds of contortions that we have to put ourselves into to all fit into a fossil quarry in the field. Even in an enormous landscape, we're all just huddled together, contorted. We had a term for that when I worked with Museum of the Rockies. We called that quarry yoga.
corner of this vast landscape that we finally struck gold.
The glamour. There you go, Fiery Faye. Yeah, yeah.
Well, it was the second week of July in 2004. We're all working in series in this hull. And Steve says, "Hey guys, what's this?" Ted and I go running over. And what we saw was this V here. It was covered with rock. And as soon as we saw this V, and we saw these teeth under it, it became very clear that this little V we're seeing is the tip of a snout. And
beautiful.
That this was a snout of a flat-headed fish.
We stopped in our tracks. A flat head was a likely sign of a transitional fish.
Here was the snout of exactly the creature we were looking for, and it was sticking out of the rock. So if we had any luck whatsoever, the rest of the creature would be, encased in the rock.
So we dug all the way around the fossil, leaving a chunk of rock that we then encased in plaster. We couldn't wait to see what was inside.
Okay, we get home. We knew we had a flat-headed fish, but how much of it did we have? Well, then the preparators had to take over. They removed the plaster jackets, and the first thing they did was to etchate the rock, exposing the front part of the snout. Then about a month and a half goes by, and they start to find the orbits, the eye holes.
Yep.
And then we see the shoulder, and then we see the fins, and then we see more and more and more and more until we see pretty much the entire top side of the body.
Pretty awesome.
What's wonderful about this specimen is that we have the head connected to a body, and the body is connected to the fins. So we know that this fin comes from this animal, and we know its size and how it fits together.
There we go.
Later, we found
I happen to have a 3D print of Tiktaalik right here. Again, haven't had time to paint it or to even fill in any of the cracks or anything like that with water putty yet. But I will be doing that before too long, hopefully, now that I've finally maybe got some free time after a very, very busy 2 weeks. But, yeah, pretty excited about that. An extraordinarily important fossil. All these fishopods are what we call fishopods because it's kind of a transition between tetrapods, those are land-living animals with bones, reptiles and amphibians, mammals, etc., and fish. It's an in-between. You know, it shows the evolution of tetrapods from fishy ancestors, hence fishopod. So really excited to get this thing painted at some point. Yeah. And what an adorable creature.
parts of other specimens, and some of these were really big, up to 9 feet long. The local Inuit.
Oh, and Portalgeist is finding a fossil and the kind you're looking for. What are the odds? That's the thing, is that they knew where to look. They had a hypothesis where they were looking for a particular... Well, here, shoot. Where are we at? 48, 43 right there? Let me see if I can find the part where Neil Shubin talks about... There we go. Oh, I love this part. I know we've watched this before, but we're going to watch it again.
To stop the thing toppling over. College text, sort of usual band.
Within that gap, we'd be filling in a crucial piece of evolutionary history.
So the idea is they're going to try and find what the popular media often calls a missing link, which is a term that paleontologists don't really like, and that's why Neil Shubin doesn't really use it very much, because it could be a little bit misleading, that term missing link, because if you find it, it's not missing anymore. But anyway, they're trying to find an in-between, kind of a transitional fossil here between the water and land.
Suggested that this four-legged animal had just come onto land. It was right at the edge of our search. But between these tetrapods and ancient fish, there was still a gap spanning millions of years. If we could find an animal within that gap, we'd be filling in a crucial piece of evolutionary history.
Yep. And like Dinosaur Dave says, yeah, many people who use the term missing link use it very disingenuously. It's used by, you know, creationists and people like that. Like, oh, well, why haven't you found the missing link? It's like, well, that's the thing, is that if you find this creature and fill in this gap by doing that, then they say, well, now there's 2 more gaps. Where are those? Gamer L, thank you for the 12 months of support. I do really appreciate that. Thank you, thank you. Holy cow. Good to have you here. Yeah. Yeah.
So now there was a new challenge. Where on earth should we look next?
I remember.
So this is so cool. This is a beautiful example of how paleontology is, despite what some people say, an experimental science. Some people say, well, you know, there's historical sciences, but you can't really run experiments in those. I call nonsense on that. That, I think, is completely untrue. We can do experiments in paleontology, and this is one of those. You come up with a hypothesis. Like, you know, if this creature existed, it should be in this time and in this place. You test that hypothesis. Your experiment is going out and doing field work. so that you can either falsify or
Likely that we're here
confirm the
today
hypothesis.
because, by the luck of the draw, dinosaurs who had been dominant over mammals in ordinary times got felled in a mass extinction.
Thank you, iconic song.
Already paleo dog.
For those 11 months. Holy cow. I really appreciate that. Thank you, thank you. Here, take a look.
I remember sitting in the office, and we were doing this sort of usual banter one day about something geological. We had a college textbook, and you're just thumbing through the diagrams in the book, and boom, there was this figure that changed our lives.
I can relate to this so hard, because that's one of the reasons why I have so many books on my shelf, is that you never know when one of those books is going to have something that that is unexpectedly life-changing like this, you know? When you're at the forefront of human knowledge, when you're learning new things, you never know where a clue might come from that helps propel forth your exploration of a topic. This is one of those beautiful examples there.
Thumbing through the diagrams in the book, and boom, there was this figure that changed our lives.
There's the map. It was a map of North America, which highlighted 3 areas of Devonian rock of just the right type to hold fossil fish moving onto land. There were our Red Hill rocks in Pennsylvania.
Been there, done that, worked on those very rocks.
Then there were rocks in Greenland, which Jenny Clack had already searched.
But it's that little...
Finally, there was this strip across northern Canada, and these rocks were 10 million years older.
Yeah. Atreus says, this is why librarians don't get enough credit. Absolutely. I completely agree with you on that. Librarians are some of the most valuable members of our society, I think, honestly. Librarians should all get paid 10 times more than they currently do, and there should be 10 times as many of them. Yes. I agree wholeheartedly, 1,000,000%.
I remember seeing that and saying to myself, holy cow, this is what we're looking for. My heart was racing when I saw that, because no paleontologist had worked on that, expressly looking for early tetrapod. Then you dug out the aerial photos, and that's when I got kind of terrified. I remember seeing this for the first time, thinking, you gotta be kidding me. You know, look at all this snow, how do you work there?
Heavily armed is how you do it.
All right, so
yeah.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
Okay, 2 6s clear.
Back in 1999, when we embarked on our first Arctic adventure, we had little idea what we were in for.
Anyway, spoiler alert, they found it. And they called the creature Tiktaalik.
What's really wonderful about this specimen is that we have the head connected to a body, and the body is connected to the fins. So we know that this fin comes from this animal, and we know its size and how it fits together.
Later, we found parts of other specimens, and some of these were really big.
And there go Beats International, yeah. I've seen that clip too.
The local Inuit people named our fossil Tiktaalik, which means large freshwater fish. And as we took stock of our discovery, the real excitement began. Here was an animal Darwin had predicted, a real anatomical mixture. It had some features of fish, like scales and fins and gills. It also had lungs for breathing air. And, to our astonishment, it had a neck, the earliest one like ours ever found.
Pretty cool.
But inside the fins lie the clincher. We see an early version of Owen's 1 bone, 2 bones, lots of bones pattern.
That's why.
Own limbs today.
That's why we've got that.
It had a kind of wrist, the first signs of a link to the human hand.
Pretty awesome.
Every time you flex your wrist or shake your head, you can thank Tiktaalik and its Devonian cousins adapting to life in these ancient streams.
Yep.
Unlike other fish, Tiktaalik could use its neck to watch out for predators and to hunt smaller prey. And because those fins were strong enough to lift its body out of the water, a whole new frontier opened. Over millions of years, the two pairs of fins in fish like Tiktaalik would lead to the two pairs of limbs in every bony animal on Earth.
Yep.
It's a powerful legacy we can see in our own arms and legs today. Well, to think about Tiktaalik, think about this. Think about a push-up. What are we doing when we do a push-up? We're using the muscles that attach to our chest and attach to the underside of our arm to give us the power to raise up. We use our elbows and use flexion at the wrist, which is very important because it allows our palm to contact the ground. Here's the fin of Tiktaalik. And what does it have? It has a massive surface for connection of muscles that would attach the shoulder to the underside of the upper arm.
Pretty cool.
It has evidence
So
of a highly
it can do this.
And it even has a wrist that can flex so that the equivalent of the palm can contact the ground. Here's a fish that can do a push-up. I remember looking at the wrist of Tiktaalik for the first time, and at that moment, I felt akin to what I felt in the anatomy lab when I saw the cadaver and its hand. The hand actually defines us in many ways. Well, when you think about what makes our species unique and special,
Whoops.
Living creatures from the dawn of time.
Well, well, well.
Will they wreak? What lives will they destroy? What depths of panic and terror will they create?
Balint, Science Streams, how are you doing? Welcome, welcome.
Streams and their 55 raiders have arrived to wreak some sweet, sweet havoc.
Welcome, welcome, Raiders. Balint, thank you for the raid. Holy cow. Usually we're raiding into you. Thank you very much for bringing the community over. I hope you had a wonderful stream. I hope you all learned a lot. Welcome to Paleontologizing. And Mr. Levity. That's a name I haven't seen yet. Welcome to the stream. Gizzard Nuts, what a great name. Welcome to Paleontologizing. It's good to have you here. Shoot, we are talking all about skeletons today. Because Halloween is coming up, but also because I'm always talking about skeletons as a dinosaur paleontologist. I missed some streams earlier this week because of TwitchCon. And because of the Society of Vertebrate Paleontology virtual meeting. So I'm trying to make up for that today with a little Saturday stream. Very out of the ordinary. Normally I only stream on weekdays. Unlike our very good friend Balint from Science Streams, who streams at last count, I think 9 days every week. It seems like it anyway. Balint, you're incredible how you're able to do that. If anybody is currently watching right now, and you were here when this raid came in, and you're not yet following Balint from Science Streams, Balint and Lita and baby Ilona make up the Science Stream team. Balint and Lita are themselves professional scientists, molecular and systems biologists. They work on things like ant genetics and like heritability of different traits through genetic and non-genetic means. It's really interesting stuff. Their streams are always super informative, really approachable, just a joy to watch. So if you're not yet following Science Streams, do yourself a favor, go follow right now. I'm not kidding. I am not kidding right now. Go do that. Thank you, Balint, for the raid, and hope your stream went really well. Hope you're enjoying your weekend. Yogurt Garrel is here. How you doing, Yogurt Garrel? Welcome, welcome. And SB says, Danny, I think you might be the only TwitchCon returnee I know of that didn't get sick, COVID or otherwise. Yeah. Shoot, both Ios and Lordy, whom I drove to TwitchCon, they're both under the weather. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I don't get sick very often. When I was a kid, I'd get sick like maybe once every couple years. Like a cold or a flu or something. If that. I went whole school years where, you know, I didn't miss a single day of school. It's pretty rare for me to get sick. Yeah. Scrolling down. Skip the Pickle, how are you doing? Welcome. Yeah. Anyway. Yeah, and Sylphirian, how are you doing? Welcome. And our house group seems to all be okay, thank goodness. I'm glad to hear the Ogre Garrel. I am glad to hear that. Yeah. And more bloody. Maybe 2009? Holy cow, wow. Good for you. That's awesome. Yeah. And,
A real dinosaur?
Dark Light, Smooth Wolf. Thanks for the follow. That almost sounds like the tagline for a radio station or something like that. 96.5. Dark Light, Smooth Wolf. What? Anyway, it's good to have you here. We're talking about homology right now. We're talking about why different skeletons from different creatures have got the same bones, just modified for different purposes. It's because we come from a common ancestor. Homology is the idea here. The reason why you've got a humerus, radius and ulna, wrist bones, metacarpals, carpals and phalanges, like this. The reason that it's the same in a frog, and a rabbit, and a lizard, and a bird, and any other tetrapod animal, any other land-living animal with bones, is because all land-living animals with bones inherited that pattern from their common ancestor, which was a sarcopterygian fish, a lobe-finned fish, much like Eusthenopteron right here. So yeah. So we were just watching a little clip about that.
Having thoughts and being able to make those thoughts real. And the way our thoughts become real is through use of our hands to build things, to make things.
We owe those hands to our fishy ancestors.
This wonderfully complex, quintessentially human piece of anatomy can be traced back to the fins of ancient fish.
Yep.
It's an incredible evolutionary story that we can now unravel. When Tiktaalik was first conceived, like every animal that has ever lived, it started as a single cell, which slowly formed into a body. Small buds appeared, and genes like Sonic Hedgehog shaped them into fins.
Yep.
Over millions of years, fins like these evolved into a myriad of forms. Like the limb of this early amphibian with 8 fingers.
Yep.
As millions more years passed, new variations emerged. From the clawed limbs of reptiles that would colonize dry land. To the powerful arms of primates that could traverse through the trees. Until eventually, a remarkable piece of anatomy arose that would itself transform the world. The human hand.
Yep.
This history is not just in our bone, flesh, and muscle. It's in our DNA. And that's what connects us all the way back to our inner fish.
Pretty cool
Fundamental
stuff.
portions of our own bodies originally came about in fish living in water.
And the great transition from life in water to life in land set the stage for a whole new set of anatomical inventions that were themselves to form the core for our own humanity.
Here's the great tree of life there.
Next time on Your Inner Fish.
We're related to egg layers. We're related to reptiles.
Our skin and hair, our exquisite sense of hearing, and our complicated teeth can all be traced to ancestors that walked the earth over 200 million years ago.
Yep. Yeah. No, somebody had a question about Sonic Hedgehog here, and Balint from Science Streams could tell you all about that. I don't know nearly as much about Sonic Hedgehog, but I can tell you, well, we can jump into that here because they do talk about it in this documentary. And that is, let's see, talking about fruit flies and stuff here. Well, actually, I don't know if we're going to get into that right now because I don't know where it is and I don't want to go hunting around for it, scrubbing through the video, trying to find the exact point. We're just going to jump back into skeletons here. But remember to ask Balint about Sonic Hedgehog, which is the name for this really, really important developmental gene. Developmental gene? That's probably not the way to say that. Making it clear that I am not... I don't work in developmental biology. Anyway, it's named after the video game character. Yeah. But yeah. Anyway, let's get back into that video here. Here we go.
Yet both
known as Mario. There you go, Dinosaur Dave, yeah.
Is 100 times bigger than a vole's. Yet both, like mole and monkey, hedgehog and horse, share the same design of bones.
Design.
The
Body
spine,
plan.
rigid yet able to bend dramatically, supports the entire body, from the limbs, which give thrust for movement, to the cage of ribs protecting the heart and lung, to the skull, casing for the brain and the vital senses. It's a design which includes what is to us the most interesting skeleton of all, our own.
The Tyrannosaurus. Oh, sorry. Our own. What? Most interesting skeleton of all. That of, Dryosaurus. No, whatever. Let's get back to where we were yesterday, where we left off. After that little intro, I believe we were talking about woodpeckers and the amazing adaptations that they have for not concussing themselves as they bash their heads against trees and sometimes the metal siding on houses in places like Montana. There's one woodpecker that lived down the street from me, and you would hear it all the time. It just loved bashing its beak against this metal plate on the side of a house, and I think it just really liked the noise, maybe, because you could hear it from really, really far away. Yeah.
The woodpecker has taken this to extremes. With a tremendously strong skull and beak, it hammers through the bark of a tree to find insects, and it can be heard 3 miles away. Yet there are skulls which take far more powerful blows without flinching.
True. Yeah.
The skull of a musk ox is reinforced by shock-absorbent bone, which is fortunate, since each of these animals weighs nearly half a ton and could...
I've got to drive home? Oh, yeah, shoot. How did it go, Balint? Well, you got to run, but somebody who was in the chat, tell me how it went. You went fossil hunting today, right, Balint? Sorry, did I miss a message about that earlier? Did you find anything cool? Found mineralized bones, shells, and more, and baby Alona stood up for the first time ever live on stream. Holy cow! That is tremendously exciting. Holy moly. Well. Very proud dad right now, I am sure. Wonderful. That's super exciting, Balint. That is super exciting. Congratulations. And congratulations to baby Alona, standing up for the first time live on stream. That's amazing. Like, you'll be able to show her that years from now and be like, yeah, there were, 70 people who were watching you during your first time ever standing on your own. That's amazing. That's amazing. Anyway, like I said, if you haven't yet, follow Science Streams, chat. Do it now. Ah, that's great. Let's get back into this. I want to finish this video today. So let's do it.
Smash straight through the brick wall of a house. The skull reveals more about an animal than any other part.
Oh yeah, I have said this many, many times. If you're out there trying to find, dinosaur fossil, if you're trying to especially discover a new kind of dinosaur, the part that you always want, or parts, I guess, are the skull. I think we as mammals are accustomed to thinking of the skull as just being like one bone, and it is definitely not. There are many, many different bones that make up the skull. We'll get into those in a second, but we've got a clip of baby Ilona standing up for the first time.
Oh, y'all, and Risto had a golden Kappa hype train today, by the way.
Yeah. Hi.
No,
Holy
no.
cow.
She's standing up. She's standing up. Go, Ilona, go. Go, Ilona, go. Go, Ilona, go. Good job.
Oh, that's awesome.
Good job, little one. Good
Wow, wow, wow.
Yeah, good job.
Holy cow. That is pretty incredible. Thank you for sharing, Claire. Congratulations to baby Ilona. It's such a privilege to watch her grow up. That's very cool. Very cool. And putting those leg bones to use. Exactly, Beats International. Yeah. Pretty awesome. Just like the, taking her, standing up for the first time, just like our fishy Sarcopterygian ancestors. Yeah. Very cool. Very cool.
Weight, size, shape, and position of the organs tell us how well the creature sees and hears, what it hunts, and how it survives. The skull is a blueprint of lifestyle. It is perhaps because the skull is essential for survival that people have put it to so many uses: cultural, practical, and superstitious. Ceremonial drums have been made from the skulls of the vanquished warriors of rival tribes, just as the Northmen's custom of drinking from their enemies' skulls has led to the Scandinavian drinker's greeting, "Skull."
I wonder if that's true. So many of these, myths about ancient cultures, human sacrifice and stuff like that, they just kind of turn out to be myths. Turns out there's not actually any real evidence for it. These are just salacious stories that just get passed around, and yeah. Anyway, yeah. And wouldn't it leak out of the... I mean, that's the thing, yeah. You would have to make a lot of modifications to a human skull to be able to drink out of it. It's... Despite what people seem to think, and despite what, what Halloween decorations would have you believe, the human skull is, not airtight or watertight. It's made up of a bunch of different bones. So take a look. This is a 3D model from Larry Whitmer's lab in Ohio. This is a human skull and all of its constituent bones. There's a lot going on there. This is a complicated piece of architecture. And there's also lots of places where liquid would leak out if you tried to use it as a drinking vessel. You know? Yeah. And there you go. Celadon K says the etymology for skull in Nordic cultures is derived from the word cup, from which the word skull is also derived from in that language, because skull is a cup that holds your thinker. There you go. That makes a lot more sense. Yeah. Anyway. Yeah. So you call shenanigans on that one? Yeah. Me too, Sparky Pugwash. Yeah. Yeah, pretty cool. I was working on 3D printing a life-size, anatomically accurate human skull. And I really shouldn't have used white filament because it doesn't show up well on the camera, but I got the lower jaw done right here. Frontals up here. There's the eye sockets there. See the magnets right there? That's to hold everything together. And then the maxillae. Some of the other bones there. Anyway, I was only able to get this much done before the 3D printer decided to have a major malfunction. And there's some busted wires now. Eventually the wires just failed after thousands upon, probably tens of thousands of hours of flexing. The thermistor wire that goes to the heated print bed, it's frayed to the point where it keeps giving, you know, basically like fatal errors. And so I've ordered a replacement one. Should be here, I think, Sunday. Cross your fingers I can get the 3D printer up and running again soon, because I just wore those wires out from all that printing. I suppose it's not a surprise when you consider how much printing we've done over the years. You know, this alone was like 900 hours of printing, just this Allosaurus skull.
You need to take some of your own advice. Aren't you the man who told me to live every week like it's Shark Week?
Odd job.
And that nothing's impossible except for dinosaurs? Don't give up on life, sir.
Wow. 27 months from Oddjob83. Thank you, Oddjob. That's almost a whole year there, isn't it? I appreciate that. Holy cow. Good stuff. Yeah. And Dinosaur Dave says that thing is a true workhorse? Oh yeah. My Prusa printer, it's been... it's kind of astonishing that all of the parts have lasted this long. I've only ever had to replace the nozzle, the print nozzle. Yeah. So, cross your fingers. Wish me luck. That, able to get everything to work properly when I install the new wires soon. And David994, how are you doing? Welcome to Paleontologizing. Good to have you here. Yeah. And Dinosaur Dave says, honestly, I don't know of a better advert than how heavily you use yours and the results you get. I should probably reach out to Prusa and say, like, hey, look at what I've been able to do with your product. Yeah. They should sponsor you, says SP Hargan. There are so many people who do 3D printing, though, that, I don't know, it might be difficult to get their attention. But who knows? Maybe I'll reach out. We'll see. Yeah. Anyway, let's get back into talking about the skulls.
The skull traditionally harbors the soul, so the holy Tibetan lamas drink from ceremonial skull cups, a symbol of consuming another's mind. Many 19th century doctors believed in phrenology, the so-called science which taught that a person's character could be read from the shape of
Put
their
a
skull.
Prusa? What do you mean, Claire?
Each
Like
area
another 3D
governing
printer?
a part of the personality.
Yeah, and the phrenology. I can tell you a story about that. One time in Montana, when I lived there, I went on a date with a gal who I don't know. Her family was apparently part of some sort of like weird right-wing cult out in the woods, and at one point she like made an excuse to feel the back of my head. She's like, "Oh, you've got something in your hair. Can I?" And I'm like, "Okay." And she's like feeling the back of my head to Yeah, I left right after that. Oh boy. Montana's a weird place. It really is.
Queen Victoria had the skull shapes of all the royal children analyzed. Even today, people may respond to odd behavior by exclaiming, "You need your head examined." And some do need their heads examined.
Oof.
Despite its many attributes, the skull is not invincible. A sudden blow to the jaw can shake the brain in its casing, resulting in a knockout.
I like the ref emote,
No
Claire.
part of
That's
the
great.
skull reveals as much about lifestyle as the jaws and teeth.
Oh yeah, especially for mammals.
From vegetation-eating animals with jaws that move up and down and sideways.
That's funny. Dinosaurs didn't really do this. That sort of like side-to-side motion of their jaws. Even the dinosaurs that did chew their food, which not very many. It's like ceratopsians, iguanodontians, including hadrosaurs, and yeah, and a few other like ornithischian dinosaurs. Basically, it's only a few ornithischian dinosaurs, the beaky bird-hipped dinosaurs, which are not the ones that are related to birds. Oddly enough, they're the only dinosaurs that actually chewed their food. Theropods, sauropods, not chewers. Yeah.
To the rodent's large, sharp front teeth for gnawing, and the strong, thick jaws of the lion with a huge muscle that runs from the front to the back of the skull, giving it the most powerful bite of all the animals. Yet the strength of some birds' beaks is just as awesome. The scarlet macaw can crack open rocks to get at vital mineral salts. But the most unusual jaws belong to the snake.
Is that really true? Do snakes really have the most unusual jaws? I don't know about that. I don't know if that's true. Like, I'm sure there's some strong contenders in that category.
Joints that unhinge and spread to an opening up to 8 times the size of the snake's head.
True, but there's lots of other animals that have very unusual jaws as well.
To a man.
I mean, shoot. Teleost fish also have really weird jaws. So yeah, they've got some pretty bizarre jaws. Let me just search for fish telescoping jaws. It happens so quickly that, like, you know, you might be familiar with these animals, but don't really realize that this is going on. So here it is in a goblin shark. Take a look at this. Yep. Watch this. Did you see that? Holy cow. Goblin sharks are awesome, Moohoodles, and they're really old, too. This group, goblin sharks, they go back... How long? Let's take a look. I want to say they go back to, like, the mid-Jurassic. Goblin sharks. There we go. Let's zoom into them. Over 60 years. Yeah. Goblin sharks, 2 species. Yeah. This is saying 116.2 million years ago, but I want to say that goblin sharks might go back even further than that. Yeah. They are such cool critters. I know I say that a lot, but they're very cool critters. Phylogeny and evolution. There we go. The family Mitsukurinidae, that's the family that includes goblin sharks, represented by Mitsukurina, Scipanorhynchus, and Anomodon, dates back to the Aptian age of the Cretaceous. Okay, that's more recent than I thought, but that's still like halfway through the age of dinosaurs. Like, it's a long time ago. So about 120 million years ago. Very cool. Very cool. What a cool, weird animal. Huh. But those are some pretty wild jaws. Yeah, anyway. Let's see here. There was another video that looked like it might be interesting too. What you can do with an extra jaw. Let's take a look at that. These are usually pretty good.
After stalking an unsuspecting cuttlefish across the sea floor, this moray eel is finally ready to pounce. As the eel snags the mollusk in its long teeth, its prey struggles to escape. But before it can wriggle away, a second set of teeth lunge from the eel's throat, making short work of the captive cuttlefish.
Hogan was just talking about this.
This adaptation is called a pharyngeal jaw.
Yep.
And while it might seem more fitting for an alien parasite than a fish, it's actually one of the most common adaptations under the sea. At some point millions of years ago, early fish evolved a jointed oral jaw from one of the bony arches that supported their frontal gills.
Yep.
This exterior oral jaw...
So again, we were talking about homology and how, like, we as tetrapods inherited all these features from our fishy ancestors. Well, these fish inherited those same structures from their earlier fish ancestors. And actually, our jaws themselves are basically modified, like, gill arches. So if you actually, like, go in and monkey around with the vertebrate genome, you recognize that, like, the same genes that code for, you know, the creation of our jaws and stuff like that, those are the same genes that in a fish code for their gill slits. So yeah. Pretty cool, right? Hey, Beaky says Chihuahua Mama. There you go. And Rogue Storm, how are you doing? Welcome to Paleontologizing.
Was perfect for capturing or chewing prey, but these early fish had a problem. They had no limbs to manipulate food while eating, making it easy for their mobile prey to escape before they took the first bite. Essentially, it was impossible for fish to capture and chew their prey at the same time with just one set of jaws.
And eels don't chew. I think what they mean is, like, grasp with the teeth, but
So to hold their food and eat it too, an even deeper gill arch evolved into a secondary set of jaws.
Yep.
Unlike oral jaws connected by a bone joint, These pharyngeal jaws were suspended in muscle, offering them a wide range of
They're
motion
free floating
to
in the
turn,
mouth, basically.
tug, and tear
Soft
on
tissue
food.
supporting them.
Some pharyngeal jaws actively chew, while others retract to...
Oh, I guess some of them do actively chew? That's news to me. Are there, critters that have got pharyngeal jaws that are more...
food. Some pharyngeal jaws actively chew, while
I did not know that. That's interesting. That's news to me.
others retract to pull chunks of food down the throat. Of course, the teeth a jaw has also factor in here. For example, an oral jaw with fangs is exceptional for catching and holding on to fast-moving prey. But depending on what that prey is, a fish might want sharp pharyngeal teeth to tear through tissue, flat pharyngeal molars to grind plant matter.
I think rays... Do rays have pharyngeal teeth? Or are they like proper oral teeth that are attached to jaws? I'm not sure.
Or a powerful pharyngeal bite to crush shelled prey.
Yeah.
Fortunately, some fishes can change their secondary teeth to match a new diet over several years.
Holy cow, they change in ontogeny? That's pretty neat. That is pretty neat.
Flexibility allows fish to adapt and find food in a huge variety of aquatic environments. Some pharyngeal jaws have formed to eat food too hard for most fishes. California sheephead use teeth from their oral jaws to pry urchins off rocks before crushing their spiny exteriors in strong pharyngeal jaws that have fused with the bones of their skulls.
By the way, California sheephead here. There's an interesting fact about these critters. I wonder if anybody knows it off the top of their head. What's really interesting about their ontogeny? Does anybody remember? The way that they change as they grow and develop, as they mature. Anybody know? They're not secretly whales. No, they are ray-finned fishes. They do change a lot, Claire Burr. Yeah. Well, California sheephead, as well as other members of the wrasse family like that. I think there's like a Japanese one that does the same thing. Here. I'll show you a quick clip. We're going off on all kinds of tangents here, but this is fun. This is what live streaming is all about when you're doing science, right? There we go. Here, take a look.
A protein is phagous hermaphrodite.
Yep. Do you know what that means? These fish actually change sex as they mature. All of them are born female, and only the ones that get old enough and big enough actually become males.
This means that all individuals are born as females and may transition to males later in life.
Yep.
Sheepheads can be found in the temperate waters of the eastern Pacific Ocean.
Isn't that cool?
Off the coast of Southern California and Baja California.
Really, really neat.
They inhabit kelp forests and rocky reefs from 15 to 165 feet deep. Their docile and curious nature makes them a popular target for spearfishers. Normally, individuals will mature as females at 4 years of age and change sex at around 31 centimeters in length and 8 years of age. But
pretty cool.
Age of sex change can vary. Populations with higher survival rates have been observed to reach larger sizes before sex change.
That makes sense.
Sex change occurs in the winter months. The transition can take weeks to months to complete. The change from female to male results in changes to the sheephead size, color, and jaw structure. Females are red in color, while males have a more prominent forehead and distinctive red band.
And their jaws actually change too.
And can reach 3 feet in length. These fish are carnivores that feed mainly on sea urchins and mollusks. They are important predators to kelp forests by regulating the sea urchin populations.
And that's exactly what they were talking about in this video.
Environments. Some pharyngeal jaws have formed to eat food too hard for most fishes. California sheephead use pointed teeth from their oral jaws to pry urchins off rocks before crushing their spiny exteriors in strong pharyngeal jaws that have fused with the bones of their skulls. Other fish prioritize eating huge quantities of food. The pharyngeal jaws of grass carp have two bone components that move in unison to pull plant life into their stomachs, consuming over 18 kilograms of seaweed a day. Other pharyngeal jaws are adapted to suit incredibly specific circumstances. Consider this species of pearlfish that lives inside sea cucumbers and feeds on their guts.
What?
Fish are the most
That's
diverse
nuts.
group of vertebrates with over 30,000 unique species, and much of that diversity is due to the hundreds of unique jaws separating otherwise identical species. Perhaps the best example of this dental diversity can be seen in cichlids.
Yeah. So I've actually studied cichlid teeth a little bit for a project that I presented on this summer at the Mesozoic Terrestrial Ecosystems Conference in Salt Lake City back in June. Yeah. Really, really cool critters.
Is primarily found in select African and South American lakes. Typically, large lakes like these would be occupied by a handful of distantly related species, each adapted to consume one of the lake's limited food sources. But here, almost every corner of the ecosystem is occupied by a different species of cichlid.
This is kind of like Darwin's finches, a little bit.
There are over 1,700 cichlid species.
Holy
many
cow.
almost identical, save for their uniquely adapted jaws.
I mean, it is a lot like Darwin's finches. This is what we call adaptive radiation, where like one species arrives in a new niche, or in a new environment rather, and then splits into a bunch of different species, all to exploit different niches, much like Darwin's finches, where all of these different kinds of finch like this have different lifestyles and different beaks, adapted for different food sources. Again, we call this adaptive radiation. So cichlids are a really, really excellent way to kind of study adaptive radiation, and that's why they're very popular among researchers as study animals.
Which have evolved to eat crustaceans, mollusks, worms, algae, plankton, and even the scales of other fish. These oral adaptations are
substantial change in evolution. If extinction didn't occur, a successful group would dominate and it would last forever.
Raceland, thank you for the 9 months of support. Appreciate you, Raceland. Thank you.
So essential for survival that different species use their pharyngeal jaws to make unique mating sounds that allow female cichlids to identify males of their own species. This technique limits interspecies breeding and ensures the parent fish will pass on their specialized jaws. Scientists are still discovering all the ways this incredible skeletal mechanism functions, but given what we know already, it's fair to say that for most fish, 2 jaws are better than 1. But what's better than an
Yeah, very, very cool. So anyway, why did we get onto this? Well, it was because of this line here.
Unusual jaws belong to the snake.
I don't know if the most unusual jaws belong to the snake. If there is a creature with the most unusual jaws within the vertebrate world, it probably belongs to some sort of ray-finned fish, I would guess. Just to be fair, you know? I work on tetrapods, dinosaurs in particular. Of course, I'm very tetrapod-focused. Whoever wrote this probably is too, but you gotta hand it to ray-finned fishes. Actinopterygia, they've got some wild stuff going on jaw-wise.
with joints that unhinge and spread to an opening up to 8 times the size of the snake's head.
Ontogeny.
That's equivalent to a man swallowing a German Shepherd dog whole.
Oh, man. Roguestorm says, speaking of unusual jaws, have you ever seen some people eat pizza? I have seen some people eat pizza before, Roguestorm, yes. I've never seen a man swallow a German Shepherd dog whole, though. Or at all. And I should count my lucky stars for that.
The snake's muscles are powerful enough to crush the skull of its prey. The skull is the body's strongest bone structure, protecting the organs of sight, smell, taste, and hearing, guarding the vital entry of food and oxygen, and encasing the most complex control center ever known. The eyeballs and the air channel are both well shielded by the bones of the face.
There you go, Blueberry Bean. How you doing? Welcome,
welcome. The highly adaptable jawbone helps the 32 teeth chew their way through half a ton of meat and plants each year.
This must be like cutting edge CG computer graphics for this time. When did this come out? Let's take a look. 1994. Holy cow. So yeah, this must have been some cutting edge stuff at the time.
The face. While the highly adaptable jawbone helps the 32 teeth chew their way through half a ton of meat and plants each year.
And I'm very familiar with the Eyewitness series of books, Alex Vixen. Yes, of course.
The sight of a skull does represent a threat. No part of the body is so full of mystery. Our instant repulsion when coming upon such a clear vision of death is linked to the instinctive urge for survival. Only the elephant is likewise fascinated by
catamaran dish. That's interesting, Freelancer.
Perhaps not surprising, since these creatures have been systematically slaughtered and their skulls desecrated for one special part, the tusk.
Oh, and I think that's not the elephant seeing the skull there. I think that's the elephant smelling the skull and saying, oh, shoot, this is a dead elephant here. Notice how the trunk goes up to it and then it reacts. That's really sad.
Perhaps not surprising, since these creatures have been systematically slaughtered and their skulls desecrated for one special part, the tusk. Made of ivory, these highly modified teeth serve both as tools and weapons, and not only in elephants. The walrus uses its tusks to dig out food and pull itself along, to spear the hull of a boat in anger, or to...
Yeah, I don't think walruses actually use their tusks for those purposes. I think walruses... I've read somewhere that walruses actually use their tusks almost like skids on the seafloor, because they feed through what's called suction feeding. So they'll put their mouth down to the substrate and they'll like suck up mollusks and stuff like that. And I think the idea is that they're using their tusks to kind of steady themselves on the seafloor as they're doing that. It did not evolve to attack boats, Smurf, no. Yeah. Yeah. Here, I wonder if we can find a video about that. How do walruses actually feed? Yeah. Here, let's take a look at this. Sorry, I'm going to have to reverse this because Nat Geo will, if I don't turn the audio off, then, well, and if I don't reverse it, then YouTube will freak out when when the VOD is uploaded later. And Alex Vixen, I've heard that before, that walruses use their tusks for, you know, various mobility things and for fighting and stuff like that. But my question is, why did those tusks evolve in the first place? What's the actual selective pressure that caused that to evolve? And I've heard marine mammal paleontologists say, like, oh yeah, there's so much misinformation out there about what walrus tusks are actually for, and so we're trying to figure that out right now. Yeah. And Red Bulwark says mating, I bet. If it were primarily a mating thing, then you would expect to see big sexual dimorphism in the tusks. And I don't know if that's the case. I think both male and female walruses both have big tusks. So I think it might be something more functional than that. Although you can check. Maybe male and female walruses have different size tusks. Maybe females also have tusks. But if the tusks are dramatically smaller, then maybe it could be for, you know, mate competition or something. Yeah. And narwhal horns also tusks. Yeah, you could call it a tusk, Roguestorm. Yeah. A narwhal horn is a tooth. I think it's one of the incisors. I don't think it's a canine. I think it's one of the incisors. Whereas the tusks of a walrus, I'm pretty sure, are canines. Yeah. You have a walrus skull? Holy cow, Dinosaur Dave. Neat. And females have smaller tusks. Are they much smaller? Here. Let's take a look. Let's see. That looks like a juvenile walrus. Yeah, so it looks like the tusks might be kind of proportional to their overall body size. Which you would expect if it's a functional thing. You know, like structural functional. As opposed to, like, sexually dimorphic. They're used for... Yeah. Huh. There we go. Tusks and dentition. Tusks were once thought to have been used to dig out prey from the seabed, but analyses of abrasion patterns on the tusks indicate that they are dragged through the sediment, while the upper edge of the snout is used for digging. Okay. Tusks are slightly longer and thicker among males. Which... Oh, sorry. That's backwards. There we go. So yeah. Yeah, this is not like something that's primarily for sexual display or for competition among males or something like that. It wouldn't have evolved for that purpose if the tusks are only slightly longer and thicker among males. Yeah. Huh. Very cool. Anyway, let's check this out. Oh, hey, language there. And Little Pink Pony says, don't walrus fight with them, though? I mean, they do. But that's more of what we call, like, an exaptation rather than an adaptation. So, like, this is something you really got to think about when you're thinking about why certain features evolved in different organisms. It's like, what's a good example that I can give you? Oh, okay. Think about a moose. And think about the big lips that a moose has. They can manipulate objects with them and stuff like that. I've read that they can even escape from like, cages and stuff like that in zoos. Because they can manipulate objects with their lips. They use those lips for feeding. That's what that originally evolved for. So, like, that's something they do on a daily basis, and if they can't eat, then they can't survive. So, like, there is strong evolutionary pressure for them to be able to eat, and the lips help with that. The lips did not evolve from escaping from cages, but they can still use it for that. In the same way, walrus can use their tusks for fighting, but that's not why that structure evolved in the first place. Does that make sense? Yeah. And there, Oriathalia, there you go. Yeah, that's another example too. Forks. Good for eating or for stabbing. Violent thoughts there, Araya, but yeah, yeah. I guess we're talking about fighting. So yeah. Fair enough. Yeah. Anyway. Yeah. Yeah. Let's get back to this right here. Talking about walrus. And Slarty says, was it never observed how they use their tusks? I mean, you'd be shocked by the number of times that, like, some kind of animal, some, like, very basic aspect of its behavior is just unknown. An animal alive today that you can observe in the wild or in the laboratory. And it's like, yeah, nobody really knows what they use this for. As a paleontologist, I find that continually astonishing because we're trying to figure out the behavior of animals that are extinct for tens of millions of years by looking at their anatomy. And sometimes you go and you try and figure out, well, what is this creature today that has a similar feature? A similar aspect of its anatomy. What does it use that for? And sometimes the answer is nobody knows. And I think there's a lot of mystery surrounding walrus here, too, on that same front. It's not easy to study the behavior of walrus, apparently. There you go. Huh. Pretty cool. That is wonderful. Yeah. 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 Anyway, good stuff. Walruses. What a neat creature.
The walrus uses its tusks to dig out food and pull itself along.
It doesn't actually use its tusks to dig out food. Not really.
Spear the hull of a boat in anger, or to drag itself on board by hooking its tusks over the sides.
Okay, not really, but whatever. I mean, they might use it for that in a pinch, but like, that would be a novel behavior. And here's narwhals too. Somebody mentioned narwhals in chat. Narwhals, that tusk right there at the front, if I'm not mistaken, is an incisor. So it's one of, these in the front. All I want for Christmas is my 2 front teeth. I think that's one of the narwhal's 2 front teeth, right? Here, let's see. Yeah. No, it's a canine tooth. I was wrong. It's one of the, the fangs.
The Tradoon.
Risa Degu, thank you for the 15 months of support. I appreciate that very, very much. And Risa Degu, were you here when I opened up your box last week? you see the VOD? Thank you so much for sending that. Holy cow. I appreciate that more than you know. That was very generous of you. Thank you, Risudegu. Well, shoot, that video might be up on YouTube already at this point. Yeah. I think it was last Thursday. Thursday? Last Wednesday. Last Wednesday, whatever day that was. Yeah. It was my last stream before TwitchCon. Pretty sure. Yeah. Anyway. Thank you, Risudegu. I appreciate your thoughtfulness and generosity there. Yeah. Anyway, narwhals. Yeah, the tusk is a protruding canine tooth. And as I understand it, usually only narwhal males have the tooth. Tusk, except when that's not true, except when females have it, which is rare. But what's even rarer is a narwhal with 2 tusks. And what's even rarer than that is a female narwhal with 2 tusks. It does happen, but it's very, very rare. Pretty cool. And there is the skeleton right there. They are such cool animals and a weird-looking skeleton. To my eye, all mammal skeletons look weird, but narwhals particularly so. And there is a double-tusked narwhal skull. Again, very rare. Oh, this is a female one with 2 tusks. The rarest of the rare. Very, very cool. And you've ever looked up the scientific name of the narwhal? Isn't it Monodon? Yeah, Monodon monoceros. What a great name. That means 1 tooth, 1 horn. One tooth, 1 horn. Narwhal. What a cool critter. What a cool critter.
Narwhal has only 2 teeth. In the male, one of them grows into a fearsome 9-foot tusk, almost as long as the animal itself. The male Barbarossa pig has 4...
Oh, they didn't even mention. Sometimes the female will occasionally develop a long tusk like that. And like I said, on very rare occasions, you'll have a female with 2, and that's the rarest of the rare.
...as the animal itself. The male Barbarossa pig has 4 tusks.
Mammals are weirdos, Dr. Irrefutable.
Grow up through the roof of its mouth.
Oof. They look like they're going to curve up and then poke into its brain.
Ivory is the most widely used skeleton material, adapted to every imaginable ornament and artifact.
And Mr. Boofus Doofus, how are you doing? I appreciate you. Thank you for the kind words. And welcome to Paleontologizing. It's good to have you here. We strive to be as positive and welcoming a place as possible as well. So, welcome to the channel. Ivory. Don't get me started on ivory, though.
Adapted to every imaginable ornament and artifact.
Yeah, ivory. That reminds me of... Yeah.
Mr. Simpson, I think you'll find this amount more than fair.
Dad, I think he's an ivory dealer. His boots are ivory, his hat is ivory, and I'm pretty sure that check is ivory.
Lisa, a guy who has lots of ivory is less likely to hurt Stampy than a guy whose ivory supplies are low.
Mr. Blackheart?
Yes, my pretty.
Are you an ivory dealer?
I think that you're missing important context here, but the Simpsons had an elephant. Stampy is his name. Bart won Stampy from a I think it was from a radio contest. It's like a gag gift. Like, you can have $1,000 or an elephant. He's like, I want the elephant. Anyway, but yeah, the Simpsons' other pets were feeling very neglected because, you know, the elephant requires so much attention. That's why they were trying to get their attention.
Little girl, I've had lots of jobs in my day. Whale hunter, seal clubber, president of the Fox Network. And like most people, yeah, I've done a little ivory.
Dad, you can't do this. Stampy is my friend.
Don't worry, son. I'll get you a new elephant.
I'll take that one, too.
Done.
All right, I'll be back in the morning to pick up Stampy.
Here's the keys.
Elephants don't have keys.
I'll just keep these then.
Anyway, yeah. Don't get me started on ivory.
And other specialized bones have caught the imagination of humans. Antlers, emblems of aggression, power, and supremacy. Antlers have another, more subtle purpose. They help to control body temperature, radiating excess heat to keep the animal cool.
Kind of. I mean, they do that, but that's not really why they evolved in the first place. So it's like a secondary kind of purpose there. Antlers in cervids, in the deer family, they evolved mostly for like competition between males and stuff like that. And that's why the males have big, impressive antlers, and the females don't. That's what we call sexual dimorphism there. So thermoregulation is, there might be like a secondary nice kind of benefit, but it's not why that thing evolved in the first place. And again, it's important to make these distinctions when we're thinking about why these traits developed, why they evolved, you know, on these creatures. Yeah. And Rush2112 Gamer, how are you doing? Welcome, welcome.
Skeletons in their many forms are all around us, yet they still terrify us. Like the skeleton in the closet, placed there by an evil husband who forced his unfaithful wife to kiss the skull of her former lover every night.
That's dark. Isn't this supposed to be a documentary for kids?
In many cultures, the human skeleton has become a powerful symbol, an omen. The mere sight of a skeleton is a vivid reminder of our own mortality. In the fortune-telling tarot deck, the most feared card is death.
This is why I say that, you know, even though these are ostensibly science documentaries, I'm pretty sure that the writer on this series, if they have a background like in research or academia, it's probably in like folklore or cultural studies or literature or something like that. Yeah, or maybe it's co-written by somebody with a background in science and a background in the humanities. I don't know. But yeah. Anyway, and Beats International says, "Why is a skeleton scared of a skeleton?" For comedic purposes, I guess. I don't know. Your guess is as good as mine. But yeah. And somebody had a question about something. About us having skeletons. What was this? I look away for a minute and I've lost it. But it is cool and interesting to think about our skeletal framework, right? For a paleontologist, you know, that's always kind of at front of mind. But I realize that's not the case for most people. So, you know, that's why we're doing a stream like this. Everybody thinks about skeletons around Halloween time because you see them all over the place. If you study skeletons, then you're thinking about them all year round. So, yeah.
The skeleton is the monster conjured up to frighten enemies. the leader of the dance of death. The Grim Reaper.
All
the
right,
dreaded
all right.
hunter of souls.
Now, this is the thing, is that, like, when most people think of skeletons, it is something dark and macabre and, you know, associated with death and decay and evil and all kinds of negative stuff. But shoot, for a paleontologist or an osteologist, somebody who studies, you know, bones and skeletons, it's not like that at all, you know? I don't think there's anything macabre about skeletons most of the time, you know? Which is why it's weird when, like, I don't know, how skeletons have become synonymous with Halloween, at least here in the United States. Like, that's bizarre to me, you know? It's like, imagine, like, being a car mechanic. And, you know, you work on cars every day. You think a lot about cars. But then everyone puts out car decorations for Christmas or something like that. And you're like, well, I think about cars all the time. It's not just a Christmas thing. What? I don't know if this analogy makes any sense at all, but I'm trying to explain where I'm coming from. You know, as somebody who works on fossil bones. And Chris TS says, for some cultures, mine for instance, nothing like it, although a lot of us have been indoctrinated into Western attitudes to it there. Yeah. Anyway. Yeah. Happy Carsmas, everybody, says Red Bull. There you go. Big TN says, you spend all day thinking about bones? And then these posers come in for 1 month? Yeah. I don't know. There's, to me, you know, nothing... We all have skeletons in us 24/7. And, you know, that is how we learn about past life here on Earth, is through skeletal remains from vertebrates or invertebrates, you know. Shells and exoskeletons and everything else of the invertebrates. The hard parts are usually what's left over. I don't know, I think to a paleontologist, a skeleton is as much a symbol of rejuvenation, resurrection, as it is of, like, death or decay. I hope that makes some kind of sense, you know? Yeah. Happy Honda Days and a Merry Toyotathon to all. And also to you and yours, Hogan. Thank you. Yes. But yeah. Yeah. And Big TN says, I was staring at my wife's head and she asked me why. And I said, just thinking about all the wet bones under there. She was not into it, to be honest. Maybe you should have her watch this stream. You know? Sometimes all it takes to have a change of perspective is learning something new. You know, having new information change the way you look at the world a little bit. It can be refreshing to do that. Yeah. Yeah. So yeah. Atria says, my kids were upset when I broke my foot and did not get them a copy of the X-ray. Shoot, I would be too. Although I remember, when I was a kid, my mom went in for surgery to have her wisdom teeth removed. Wisdom teeth. And she brought them home and showed me. She had a little manila envelope. And I'm like, whoa, they let you keep them? I thought it was so cool. They were gross looking for sure. It was just like dried blood all over everything, and yeah. I think she threw them out shortly thereafter, but she wanted to show me, and I always thought that was really neat. I'm sure she doesn't still have them. My mom is not sentimental like that, and she's always throwing stuff out, which is good. She likes her house very uncluttered. But, yeah, I don't know. I always thought that was neat. I always thought, shoot, if I ever have to have a procedure where I, like, have my appendix removed or something like that, you can bet I'm going to be asking the doctor, like, hey, can I take that home in a jar? I think that'd be really cool. Especially here in the U.S. when, you know, you have to, like, mortgage your house in order to have basic surgery or something like that. You know, gotta sell your car or, you know, get a second job just to be able to afford basic healthcare. Like, they're not taking that from me. I want that appendix. I want to have it in a jar on my desk. Put some lights under it. Turn it into a lamp, you know? Yeah. Unfortunately, I will not be able to do that with wisdom teeth because I don't have any. That's a mutation that I have. It's a certain segment of the population that, yeah, just no wisdom teeth, and I was lucky to have that. Please don't put that on stream, Danny. We'll see, Thalo. I'll warn you first, at least. If I ever have my appendix removed. Yeah. Anyway. 16 wisdom teeth? Holy cow, Javasaurus. Holy cow. Yeah. What about the law on human tissue possession? Is it illegal to have human tissue? 'Cause I've got, you know, lots of human tissue. In a video game, non-actionable. No, I don't have any human tissue for anybody who's watching. Jotting this down right now. Calling the authorities. No, I am in possession of no human tissue at all. Danny Anduza, well-known VTuber. This isn't real. Anyway. We gotta move in, boys, says Murph. Oh, boy. Well, let's continue here.
Yet these images in art have themselves been created by a skeletal part. The hand, or forelimb, is more elaborate and refined in humans than in any other animal.
Is it, though? Is it really? Is this more refined than the hand of, I don't know, something like an eye? You know, with their super, super long fingers? I mean, shoot, raccoons also have extraordinary sense of touch. Yeah, I don't know. We like, as humans, to talk about how we're the most specialist of boys and girls and everything else. But for almost any particular superlative, there will be another organism that does it better than us. You know, we are not the fastest or the strongest. We do not have the greatest endurance of any animal. You could make an argument that we're the smartest, the best at language, creativity. Yeah, so I don't know. Our brain mix is pretty special, I suppose. And our hands are pretty cool too, but our hands are only cool because they're hooked up to this brain. I don't know, there are other creatures like eyes that have got pretty impressive hands. And so do raccoons. Raccoons have an absolutely incredible sense of touch. Let's see if I can find this real quick.
We are leading him into a trap where we can...
There was this old show called The Most Extreme on Animal Planet. Here, take a look.
Ever wanted a super sense? Like, say, X-ray vision? Discover that some
goofy
animals
stuff, but
already have superpowers of perception. As we count down the top 10 super senses in the animal kingdom. You don't have to be a psychic to know what happens when the senses are taken to the most extreme.
If I recall correctly, the sense of touch here
Earth is a planet of extremes.
It has to do with raccoons in this episode.
Extreme places.
I loved this when I was a kid. This is one of my favorite shows when I was able to catch it.
But some animals are more
it's goofy,
extreme than others.
but it's fun.
Join us as
You remember this one thing? Yeah.
find the most unusual, the most extraordinary, the most extreme.
Yeah. Now let's see if we can find the part with sense of touch. Let's see. Oh, was it moles? No. Shoot, I guess it was. Oh well. I thought it was going to be raccoons. Sorry. Instead it's moles. Well, let's watch that because we're already here.
A tarsier wouldn't see the sense in a flotation tank. With its incredible night vision, just turning out the lights isn't gonna stop it from being one jump ahead of the rest of the jungle.
Oof. Yowza. Alright, now, to the moles.
When it comes to the sense of touch, our next contender is a cut above the rest. Even though it lives beneath our feet. Burrowing in to number 9 in the countdown is the mole.
So this is one of those things that, like, these sorts of things don't fossilize well, like the star nose of a star-nosed mole. That's all soft tissue. And so if we only knew about this animal through fossils, we probably wouldn't have much of an idea that it had such an extraordinary structure.
These dark tunnels, it has a super sense of touch, thanks to its incredible nose. The mole's snout is covered in more than 2,000 touch receptors that can detect the tiny vibrations in the soil made by its slimy prey.
Yep.
Recently, scientists discovered that moles actually have erectile noses. Underneath those touch receptors is an extensive system of blood vessels. When the mole gets excited, the vessels fill with blood, pushing up the touch receptors to get a better feel of its surroundings. Humans also have erectile tissue in the nose, but it's another organ that has most of our touch receptors. The skin is our largest sense organ and is covered with about 5 million touch receptors spread all over the body.
A raccoon's got way more, though.
Touch can even be therapeutic.
On its hands.
Doctors from the Touch Research Institute in Miami, working with premature babies, discovered that infants massaged 3 times a day grew 47% faster than those that didn't.
I thought they were going to say they grew 47% larger. Anyway, even just that is like, I kind of doubt that that's true. That's a big claim, you know? Yeah. But yeah, anyway. Yeah.
If you think that human looked weird, just wait until you see the mole with the most extreme.
The goal of our research is the 9-foot baby. There you go, Big Tian, yeah.
This is the star-nosed mole.
What a weird critter.
Those strange tentacles on its nose are covered in touch receptors.
I'm sure they're not called
tentacles. 6
tentacles.
times the sensitivity of the entire human hand concentrated into that tiny pink snout.
Yeah, in fact, I kind of wonder what are those protrusions called. Let's look up star-nosed mole and see what the actual term for those things is. There we go. There's more than 25,000 minute sensory receptors in touch organs known as Eimer's organs. Whoa. Which this hamster-sized mole uses to feel its way around. Well, well, well. So, they're not around here. They're like east coast of North America animals. It's funny, they don't really extend into Florida, it looks like. Because the water table is probably too high there. There's not much habitat for them. It's probably too wet. Maria Rikuo, thank you for the follow. Welcome to Paleontologizing. Yeah. Anatomy and physiology. The star works as... Let's see. Tendrils is what the 22 fleshy finger-like appendages are called. Tendrils, not tentacles. I'm glad we looked that up. That's interesting.
Those strange tentacles on its nose
Tendrils.
are covered in touch receptors. It has 6 times the sensitivity of the entire human hand concentrated into that tiny pink snout.
Nose flagella. There you go, Caterpillar.
There are an incredible 100,000 nerve fibers.
And hey, Flying Spaghetti Monster, welcome.
Nose, which
Good
is
to have
why
you.
some researchers.
Thanks for touching us with your noodly appendage. Good to have you here.
Believe that this mole has the best sense of touch of any animal on the planet.
Pretty cool. But raccoons... raccoons will feel things with their hands. That is really one of their primary ways of interacting with the world. Here, take a look.
Their food and water before eating it. This
Hang on.
behavior is called dowsing. Thanks to Brilliant for supporting a course on raccoons are famous for their habit of dipping and shaking their food in water before eating it. This behavior is called dowsing, and it looks a lot like they're washing their food. For a long time, scientists thought that's exactly what it was.
They thought that they were actually washing their food to the point where I seem to recall that a German word for raccoon is Waschbar, which literally means like washing bear, which I think is really funny. They're not bears. They're related to bears somewhat. Raccoons are procyonids, I think. But yeah. And Javasaurus is in Dutch. It's Wasbier. Literally washing bear. Yeah. And Waschbar. There you go, Gertis Becca. Glad I remembered that. Yeah.
But there's there's good reason to think that that's not what they're up to. For one thing, they only do it in captivity. You might see a wild raccoon with its hands in the water, but they're not washing their food, they're looking for it. Raccoons' front paws are very dexterous and very sensitive. And they're the animal's
And
main...
Vaskbjorn in Norwegian, does that also mean washing bear? Bahas, that's really interesting. Really interesting. Caterpiggle says, what do raccoons normally eat? In the wild, they eat a lot of crayfish. So they'll feel around in the water for crustaceans. Yeah, that's how they hunt, is by feeling. So yeah, the hands are the animal's main tools for foraging.
On land or in water, raccoons use patting motions to feel around for treats, investigating whatever they find with their hands before putting it into their mouths. But
pretty cool. And Alex Vixen, what is this? Let's see here.
Raccoons use their hands to see. Most animals hunt with the aid of sight, sound, or smell.
Thank you, Alex Vixen.
Raccoons rely on their sense of touch to locate food.
Yep.
Their front paws are extremely dexterous. This sensitive touch allows them to identify objects without seeing them, which is necessary for feeding at night. To heighten their sense of touch, raccoons use a technique called dowsing. They wet their paws to stimulate the nerve endings. Like light to a human's eyes, water on a raccoon's hands gives it more sensory information to work with.
Interesting. That is really cool.
Captive raccoons will actually carry food to water, dip it in and move it around, and then pick it up and eat it. One of the most famous and often referenced studies to explore this behavior is a series of experiments from 1963 that presented food to captive raccoons in various scenarios. Most notably, the raccoons were no more likely to douse muddy food than clean food, which is a strike against them being neat freaks. There was also the hypothesis that they were moistening their food to help it go down easier. But raccoons had no preference for dousing dry food over the wet stuff. One hypothesis still in the running today is that water makes those already sensitive paws superpowered. The 1963 study partially tested this. Based on evidence that warmer water increases sensitivity, they ran trials with one raccoon to see if it had a preferred dousing temperature, which it didn't. But more recent research has found that wetting a raccoon's hands makes the nerves in the skin much more sensitive. So it might be that dousing helps raccoons get a better feel for their food. But that 1963 study also supports a different explanation for dousing. That the raccoons just can't help it. The experiments revealed that raccoons doused more when a water dish was easily accessible, when the dish had sand in the bottom, and if the food was something aquatic like a shrimp or mussels. These patterns led some scientists to suspect this behavior might be a fixed action pattern, basically an instinctual compulsion. Captive raccoons don't need to search in water for food. It's just kind of handed to them. But if they find themselves holding aquatic prey and the nearby water dish has a sandy bottom like a stream, their brains might just be hardwired to go through the motions of their wild foraging behavior, even though they don't have to. This might be
You're like short-circuiting a raccoon by doing that. That's wild.
similar to the way cats in captivity will bat food around to simulate the feeling of hunting prey. So raccoons may not be little food washers, but they are talented and specialized foragers who, for one reason or another, just can't help playing with their food.
Pretty interesting stuff. Now here's a link to this video here. Raccoon error 404. Yeah, there you go. Pretty cool. Lots of animals will have behaviors, kind of compulsive behaviors like that in captivity that kind of mimic what they might do in the wild. But since, like, you know, captivity doesn't perfectly replicate their wild habitat, they're driven to do this thing compulsively. There's a lot of different behaviors like that animals will do in captivity. Let's see. It reminds me of a video. This is so good. Here, take a look at this. I don't know what the Japanese word for raccoon is, but I don't know what the raccoon's saying there. Yeah. So this is cotton candy right here, or some sort of sugar confection that you really shouldn't get wet. Yeah.
ということで、綿飴をプレゼント。すると
Sound effects.
水で洗おうと思った瞬間、溶けてなくなっちゃいました。あれ、どこ行っちゃったんだ？あれ？再びプレゼント。よーし、買った。あれ？どこ行った？あれ？この水。
Oh
入
man.
ってるぞ。3度目の正直。今度は水で洗わずそのまま
There you
口に
go.
洗うと溶けちゃうんだよね。洗わないアライグマくんでした。
Good stuff. Good stuff. Oh man. Anyway. Yeah. So raccoons also have an extraordinary sense of touch, much more I would say, like, critical to their survival than our sense of touch is with our hands. And probably a lot more sensitive, too.
Is more elaborate and refined in humans than in any other animal.
Sure, except for maybe raccoons.
From the front fin of the earliest fish, it has evolved into the widest possible range of implements. From flippers, grippers, and paddles.
That was a missed opportunity there. Did you hear that?
Has evolved into the widest possible range of implements. From flippers...
Oh, he did say flippers at the beginning. I thought he should have said flippers for whales, but he already said flippers.
Grippers and paddles.
Whales famously with their paddles. Normally people refer to those as flippers too, but whatever.
Paws. Pincers. And hooks.
Yeah, as
And
well as they
even
can mess
to
you
the
up.
13-foot wingspan of the albatross that carries it all around the world in 3 months.
Whale oars. Yeah,
The
there you go,
closely
orchestra.
related moles and bats have forelimbs which have taken opposite paths, one digging into the earth as the other lifts it skyward.
Thanks
That
for being here,
first fin
Atreus.
has developed
Appreciate
into
you.
the human arm
Enjoy
and
dinner.
hand, the most versatile and sophisticated instrument on Earth. A series of multi-purpose connected joints, ending in a set of fingers, enabling us to perform a greater range of tasks than any mechanical tool.
Yeah, even tasks like live streaming.
Passed down to us knowledge, a record and understanding of ourselves that has painted, molded, and celebrated life and death. Every year, the Mexican people shrug off the traditional fear of death and its image. They rejoice and embrace it as a part of life.
Claro que sí.
The Day of the Dead, tribute to the departed, to the past, and to life. And this joyous celebration transmits to the world the skeleton's ultimate message, that death comes all too soon. So drink deeply of the cup of life while it is still
Dinosaurs
full.
hold a special magnetism for children.
Smorphosaurus.
18 months. That's almost a whole year.
I couldn't have said it better myself, Smorph. Thank you for that 18 months of support.
Too soon. So drink skeleton's ultimate message, that death comes all too soon. So drink deeply of the cup of life while it is still full.
Get yourselves a flagon of life. There you go, Hylocomium. Well, I hope you had fun with that. Skeletons. We all have them. I suppose some of us have more than others. But, yeah. I don't know. I hope, after having watched that video for 3 streams now, we finally got through it. We've got a better understanding and appreciation for both your own skeleton and for the importance of the vertebrate structure, you know, that we've all inherited from our our lobe-finned fishy ancestors. Caterpillar says, I'm scared of the skeleton inside me. Even after all that? Well, I hope we can work on that together, Caterpillar. Yeah. Anyway. Yeah. For our special Saturday stream, I think that's about as far as we're gonna go for today. I've got some stuff I gotta take care of this afternoon. So let's go ahead and wrap this thing up. And I hope to see all of you on Monday. I think we'll be talking about terror birds on Monday in honor of swiftly approaching Halloween. So, for right now, let's pull up a mammal skull to run our credits over. And don't go running away just yet. We're going to see who else is on Twitch right now. And we can raid into them. Who is doing some science right now? Let's see. PaleoStream is on, but we raided him yesterday. Let's see here. Nicotine is on. Well, well, well. Nicotine was our host for the science panel. Oh, but she's doing like a VTube thing right now. Who else have we got? Oh, for once, it's not super dark when I'm raiding out. Let's go say hello to some hummingbirds. The world's smallest dinosaurs. With Luis de Leon. There we go. Excellent. Yeah. The smallest of dinosaur skeletons belong to hummingbirds. And, you're about to see, holy cow, there's a lot of them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Too many to count. Lots and lots and lots of hummingbirds.
Hey, can I just get a living dinosaur?
And Chihuahua Mama, thank you for that follow, sneaking that in right under the wire. I appreciate it. Thank you to everybody who followed today, and who raided in, and who chatted and asked questions. Everybody who followed, or I already said that. Everyone who supported financially, cheered with bits, gave subs, and moderated too. Thank you, moderators, for helping keep this a safe and welcoming community. Appreciate you. I hope you all have a wonderful weekend. I'm gonna go enjoy the rest of my Saturday, everybody. So take care, and let's enjoy these hummingbirds here too. I'll see you there.